Hi, best friends. I'm Tabby.
And I'm Caitlin. And today we are wrapping up 2022. So we are going to go over our favorite books for the year, our reading goals for next year, and then what's in store for 2023. I'm
Yes, we're
so
super
excited.
excited that everyone's stuck with us throughout the year. And what we'll start with are just some of our favorite books that we've read this year.
Yes. Do you want to
Yeah.
go first with your
Yeah,
favorite?
I'll go first. So my favorite book, it was actually two interconnected series, but it was The Brutal Birthright and The Kingmaker series by Sophie Lark. So I had read a couple books by Sophie Lark prior to this, The Sinner's Duet, and I was like, wow, really enjoyed that. This is nothing like The Sinner's Duet. It's actually all based off of like mafia families and like how they're all like interwoven and like how each country basically like has their own like version of like the mob or the mafia or like some sort of like organized crime. And so the first series, Brutal Birthright, is about the initial characters, and then the Kingmakers is about their children.
Ooh.
And it was super entertaining. It was very educational. The plot was really good. She really did do a good job about like bringing other characters back into the mix and seeing how like everyone played like a different role, even if they didn't seem important at that time. I just thought it was really neat, and she ended it very, very well.
Oh, I have to read those still, but I love Sophie Lark. We were actually just talking about her before we started recording and her
Yeah,
new book.
so yes, she just dropped a new book. It's called Anastasia. It is based off of the movie and the actual, history of the Romanov family. If you haven't started it, very good. I recommend it.
Yeah, another on my TBR. So love her. My favorite books this year. So I actually did a couple series because it's hard for me to like pick things. So my first favorite series is the Crescent City books by Sarah J. Maas. I remember
Love.
like it was February of this last year, I think, that the second one came out, and I hadn't even read the first one yet. So I got to just basically read them back to back, which was amazing. They're
Those are
so
so
good.
freaking good.
And the second one just leaves you on such a cliffhanger. And so I just can't wait
Yes.
for more. Um,
Tragically, there's no release date for the third yet,
I
but it's
know.
coming.
I get it. I get it. It takes time and effort. So
She
take your
did just
time,
have a
make it happen.
baby.
Yeah. Yeah. You have like a family and stuff. Like, I guess you don't need to work
I get
24/7.
it.
But the other series that I loved this year is the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy.
Yes.
And that one, the last book will actually be coming out next year. So something to look forward to.
Love that series.
Oh, it's so good. And it's based on how you feel, like just a little bit into the first book, like halfway through the first book. You don't even know what you're in store for at that point. Like it goes
So
wild.
I actually almost DNF'd it when I very first started reading it, because the beginning I was just like, I don't know what's going on, and it was
I
very
know.
slow, and I'm like, if this is how it's going to be the whole time, like I do not want to read it. I am so glad I kept reading it because it
Yeah.
just pops off out of nowhere, and then the other books are just a continuation of that.
Yeah, I would say the first book, like maybe the first like three quarters are on the slower side. Which I mean, that can be hard, but it is a fantasy series, and so
Sure.
it does have to
Lots of
lay a
world
lot of
building.
groundwork. Yeah. So I get it. But totally, totally worth it if you love the fantasy genre.
Ah, so good. Oh, those were good ones. So my least favorite books, and they're actually two different series again, because I only apparently read series. So the first series was the Dead Men Walking series by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. They're also known as the Twisted Sisters. They wrote Zodiac Academy, which is one of my favorite series. A lot of people hate it. It's kind of trash, but it's also very good. So this is set in like a completely different timeline. I normally really, really enjoy their books, and like they're very funny. They have a lot of really funny content. This was cringy,
Yeah.
like so, so cringy. So basically, it's like it's a reverse harem, but it doesn't become a reverse harem till the last book. But all of the members of this harem are like nuts. They are freaking nut jobs, which is usually like whatever, like that's good. Like everyone's a little twisted. No, it's like they have like the IQ of like a 4-year old.
No,
Like the main character, her name is Brooklyn. Like she acts like she's 10,
that's horrifying.
but it's because she like, but she says it's because she like doesn't care what people think of her and she wants to like release her inner child and like whatever. Sure, but it's like I don't know. It's so creepy the way they act. Because then, like one of the men is like 40 years old, and like he treats her like a kid, but like they also have like this weird sexual relationship, and like one of them's like a prisoner in the house, and like they have a weird relationship, and like, it's all very strange. And like I don't know. Normally, I wouldn't mind stuff, but it's just the way they act and like the dialogue between them. I was not there for it.
That does not sound appealing to me either. So it's like the way you're describing it, I agree with your analysis.
Like like baby talk.
Yeah,
That's kind of like it was just a continuous baby talk.
no, that's not for me.
And it was gross and I didn't like it.
But hey, give it a chance if that sounds like a good book
Yeah,
for
but like
you.
if you like them, like go for it. And then the second series was a fucking trip. Let me tell you what. It's the Deliciously Dark Fairy Tales series by K.F. Breen. So I actually got through about 3 of them before I was finally like, I cannot do this anymore.
Feel that.
There's another one. I haven't read it. I probably won't. So basically it's supposed to be like a take on Beauty and the Beast, but there's no plot. I still don't know what's going on after 3 books. Basically, it's just like a lot of like really kinky smut, which sounds like amazing, right?
Right.
But they also like introduce like a bunch of like monsters and demons, and like monster smut does not bother me at all, but it's just like the way they treated like people in the books like kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Basically humans were like enslaved and they were treated as like sex toys.
Ooh.
And I was like, no, I don't love that. But also it's like one of the or the main male character could like turn into like a beast. And at one point in time, like the main female character was like, I wonder if you'd like do it with me in that form. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Huh. You
I don't
know,
know. It's just like if you're into that, that's totally fine. I am not.
yeah,
I'm not into
I
that.
agree. That also because like I've read some like monster smut books that are like the monster in question is more like humanoid, or like something that's like resembles a human rather than like a
Hmm.
four-legged creature. You know what I mean? Like it starts
Right.
to cross some lines for me.
And like later on, we do find out that she can also transform, and this might be a spoiler if anyone wants to read it. But and so it's like, okay, well, maybe like they want to do it in those forms, like whatever. But I don't know. It was just so weird, and the dialogue was so freaking bad, and like it was very poorly written, and I just was not a big fan.
Yeah, nothing is worse than bad dialogue because like you can have like a paragraph of like describing the room or something that annoys me. I'll just skip
Yeah.
it. But the dialogue's important. Like I need to read the dialogue. So if you're gonna do one thing well, make it be the dialogue.
Yeah, it was giving high school Wattpad, but like I've read some good stories on Wattpad, so
Yeah,
it was
it
worse.
was giving poor quality Wattpad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that. For me, my least favorite books this year, I do have a couple as well. So one of them is kind of I have some mixed feelings about. I ended up DNFing this book. It is called Read Between the Lines by Rachel Lacey. And so the thing that made me not like it, because I was into it for like the first book, like the first half of the book, I was like into the story. So it's a lesbian rom-com. It's cute, like they're kind of like enemies to lovers. But
I
like
actually had that on my
halfway,
list.
yeah, I mean, it again, I didn't finish it, so I can't say for sure whether or not I would have started to like it again. But at some point, like before the halfway mark, it feels like all the conflict has been resolved. And it's like, okay, we still have another half of the book. And there is still like a minor conflict, but it has nothing to do with their relationship. And so for me, I was just like, I just completely lost interest.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just can't, because I was listening to it as an audiobook and I was like, I would have it playing and I would just like zone out. And I was like, well, it's just not worth it for me to finish this book when I cannot even pay attention to it. So that did disappoint me just because I was into it up until that point. And the other one is it's called The Graveyard Apartment by Mariko Koike. And this book is a horror book. It is kind of a more like classic and revered horror book. It's like originally written in another language, I think Japanese, but I could be wrong. So a couple things. So like I was totally here for like the vibes and the setup of the book, but at a certain point it felt like the author like hadn't decided what the ending was going to be before she started writing it. Immediately when they moved into this apartment, the pet bird died. And I was like, okay, spooky. Like I can get behind that. And then like the bird's ghost was like visiting their daughter at night and like she was talking to the bird's ghost and I was like, okay, interesting. Um but then they also threw in so like the basement of the apartment where was like storage and everyone was like scared to go down there. And then like if you were in the basement, sometimes you would get trapped, like the elevator wouldn't work anymore. And I was like, okay, also spooky. I'm fine with that. However, things quickly fell apart. There was like some sort of unidentified slithery blob in the basement. There were like shadow people in the TV, ghostly handprints on the glass and doors and windows that seal shut. And then, where I really was like, this is just too much, people outside of the building were getting like lightning bolted to death.
Oh my God.
So ultimately, I was very confused. The emotions I was feeling was not scared. It was more like confused and upset.
Concerned?
Um, so I did not have a good time with that one,
Huh.
unfortunately.
Hate that.
Yeah.
It sounds like it started off strong and then
And then it's
just
like,
kind
yeah,
of
she
fell
didn't have an
apart.
ending. So she was like, here's what's going to happen, everything. And I was like, okay,
Her
sounds good.
publisher was like, yeah, you got to turn in something. And she was like, all right.
Yeah, she's like, let me just watch like six different movies and then put them all in my book.
So, yeah, no, that sounds horrible. And the rest of the books I've read this year, I mean, there were some others that I wasn't like a big fan of, but I mean, I did get through them and whatever, but those were some stinkers for sure.
Yeah.
Something that we do talk about quite a bit on the podcast are our reading goals and Goodreads and our accounts on there. So we did include our reading goals for this year. So my goal was 150 books. I initially started off with 80. I got to 80 in March of this year and I
Ooh.
was like, I'll bump it up to 150. And I struggled to meet 150 because I got into a little bit of a slump. Hated that. So, as of this recording, I am sitting at 154 out of 150. It'll probably get to 155 by the end of the year if I can finish Anastasia. So, pretty happy with that progress. Honestly, though, next year, I'm just going to start it at 100 and maybe move it up from there because I really didn't like putting deadlines on myself. And I felt like
Yeah.
I was just reading for the sake of marking it off on my Goodreads goal. And I wasn't enjoying some of the books.
Yeah, like ultimately, like reading is a hobby and it's supposed to be fun. So
We do
like,
it because we like it.
yeah, like you don't want to make it feel like homework. So yeah, I had like originally set my reading goal for 100 books this year. As of today, I have read 90 of 100 books. So I might not quite make my reading goal because as we're recording this, there's about a week left of the year. So right now, I am also currently working on two other books, so I might make it to 92. We'll see. One of them is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. That one I'm listening to as an audiobook, but I'm reading that with my brother. So I kind of have to wait on him to be able to sit and listen to that with me. But then I'm also reading Tools of Engagement by Tessa Bailey, which is part of the Hot and Hammered series. just for a cute little rom-com. It's technically a part of like a trilogy, but it's really standalone. Like you
It's an
don't,
interconnected trilogy.
yeah, like you don't need to have read the other ones. I actually have read the second one already. I skipped the first one for some reason, but I don't
I've
think I
only read
regret
the
it.
first one. I skipped the second one and then read the third one.
Yeah, but the third one is way
It's
better than the second
very
one so
good.
far. Um, so yeah, I think next year I'm probably going to go for 100 again, just because I didn't quite make it this year. So I think that would be a good thing to aim for again, because I came close.
Yeah.
And next year I won't be in school anymore. So who
So
knows?
you'll have hopefully more time.
Hopefully. I don't know. It kind of depends on what I do with my first
Yeah,
year post grad. So
for sure. Some books that so we're gonna split this up into two different things. So we have some books on our TBRs for next year, that we're very excited about, but we do also have our most anticipated books of 2023. And so some of these on our TBRs may be new next year, or there may be a continuation of a series we've already read, but they're not necessarily our most anticipated, just some we might be
mhm.
reading. So I am kicking off the year with a 28 book interconnected series by Rena Kent. um,
Mhm.
it is just a whole interwoven universe. I am so scared that I'm gonna hate it. I've never read anything by Rena Kent. The first book is called The Cruel King. I honestly am not 100% sure what they're all about, but they have been all over my For You page on TikTok, so I'm gonna give it a go. And if you want to also read them, you can find the reading order on her website.
You'll have to let me know what you think of them.
I hope they're good.
Because
I've
that's,
heard great things about Rena
yeah.
Kent.
And it's like if they're great, then that's awesome. That's 28 books that you're
28
going to
books.
enjoy.
Exactly. Another book that I have on my TBR is actually the third book. The first one's called What Lies Beyond the Veil. I'm actually not sure what the series is called. But the third book is What Lurks Between the Fates. It is a super interesting series. It's a very like fresh take on fantasy. I feel like Fae things have been a little overdone this year. And I mean that there is like nods to the Fae in this series, but it's not like the showstopper of the series, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, that's been very refreshing to read. That's by Harper L. Woods. If you haven't read the first two, I definitely recommend it.
I like her
The
name,
Yeah, isn't it cute?
Harper L. Woods. That's just a good name.
Harper Woods. So the next book I have on my TBR is Sinners Atone. That is the fourth book in the Sinners Anonymous series, by Sam Sketcher. Those are very, very good. 10 out of
Okay.
10 series. It is mafia again, but it's a little bit different take on the mafia. They're not all about the same people. It's about three brothers who run this business called Sinners Anonymous. And basically, people can call in on this hotline and like confess their secrets, and they think it's to just like an automated system, but it's actually like going to these three brothers, and they like use this information to do what they please with it. It's super funny. It's, I don't know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I do also have Final Offer by Lauren Asher. So that is the Billionaires something series. I think you read the first one. It was called uh
Like the Dreamland Billionaires.
yeah, Dreamland Billionaires, that's
Yeah,
what it is.
I have read the first
Um
one. It's
yes,
cute.
so they're cute. I am ready to just be done with it at this
Yeah.
point.
They don't have a
Um
whole lot of like depth to them, but they're cute.
so the first one is called The Fine Print, and like basically it's set in what I would call like an alternate universe Disneyland.
Mhm.
It's called Dreamland or something like that.
Yeah.
It's about three brothers, so each book's about one of the brothers on there, and they each have to like fulfill a certain aspect of a will left by their grandfather. So it's just following along their stories. I'm just reading it because I've read the others, and I need to get the closure of finishing the series. And then the last book I have so far on my TBR is The Queen of Myth and Monsters, by Scarlett St. Clair. It's following the Isolde and what's it called? Isolde and Adrian series. The first one's called King of Battle and Blood.
Mm.
Scarlett St. Clair also wrote the Touch of Darkness series, which is about like Hades and Persephone. It's very, very good. If you haven't read those, but this is the second one, and that I honestly don't remember a lot about the first one. I do remember it being kind of good. It was, I think, about vampires. So we'll see if I can remember what that first book's about by the time that releases in 2023.
So for me, some of these books have been on my TBR for a while. So 2023 is the year. First of all, the Throne of Glass series. I have not read Throne of Glass, even though I've read ACOTAR and Crescent City. It just so happened to be that I read the ACOTAR series first, and
One of
then
my favorite series.
yeah, like I'm just lacking, but it's okay because I do own the series and I'm going to read that this year. Another series that was recommended to me by Tessa, actually, is Kingdom of Runes by Audrey Gray. And so this series, the way I understand it, it's like a young adult fantasy series, but it's pretty heavy on like the action and adventure. And
Mm-hmm.
there is also some romance in it. So
Mm.
I will be reading those as well. Um, the next book on my TBR, which has been on there for a bit, is Ashton Hall by Lauren Belfer. And it's especially like something I need to read now because I did one of those like giveaway things on Instagram. And so I actually have a physical copy of the book now.
Oh,
There's nothing
nice.
stopping me from reading it. I just need to read it. But Ashton Hall is more of like a spooky type book, like about like a haunted house or like some kind of secret like spooky secret or something,
Nice.
which I love. And then, okay, there are a couple series that I need to finish that I have started. So, first of all, I need to read the rest of the Written in the Stars series by Alexandria Belfleur. Those books are romantic comedies, and there's three of them. I also need to finish the rest of the Blood and Ash series
Me
by Jennifer L.
too.
Armentrout.
I
I
also have
loved the
not
first
finished
one,
those.
and I have not read a single one since the first one.
I have not read the fourth one. I
Uh-huh.
also have not read the second book in her prequel series.
I don't I don't own anything from the prequels. I when I bought them, I bought the first three because the fourth one was not out at the time.
I don't know if I'll
And I
finish
just read the
them.
first.
I honestly like they're just okay.
I really did love the first one, but I have heard some reviews that people really didn't like the fourth one a whole lot in general. I'm still probably gonna read it.
My Tessa, who is my older sister, for those of you who don't know, really liked the fourth one, so
Mhm.
I might give it a go. It's I own it. I just haven't read it.
Yeah. And I feel like we normally have similar tastes to Tessa in books, so there's a good
Yeah.
chance that we will like it. Um, but yeah, I need to finish that. And then lastly, one that I have been wanting to read since like last fall is Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Um, again, kind of a spooky type book. I love like I either read fantasy, romance, or horror books. So that's what
Same.
my
I
list
feel
is made
that.
up of.
That sounds good. How exciting. So my most anticipated books of 2023, there's a lot more than this, but these are top three, I think. So the first one is A Happy Place by Emily Henry. So we are Emily Henry hoes.
Yeah.
Like, love her. We're actually going to be covering a few of her books in 2023, which we're very excited about. But A Happy Place will be the fourth book that I will have read by her. All of them just cover very different things and like different real life, aspects of people that you might be able to relate to. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll just learn something from it. But she hits it out of the park every single time.
They're so cute. It's like Nicholas Sparks books, but good. Like it gives you the
They're
warm
all slow
fuzzies.
burns. They're
They're slow burn.
cute.
Yeah, and there's usually like some other like real world problem that they're tackling outside of the blossoming romance that like gives it some substance.
It's not even always like a miscommunication thing. Sometimes it's like a mental like block that they're having or something like
Yeah.
that like the main character themselves are dealing with that they're trying to
Because, yeah,
overcome.
I'm thinking of one book in particular. They're straight up like, I would love to sleep with you. However, I have these aspects of my life that I need to like sort out. Like it is so far from miscommunication. It's refreshing.
Yeah, it's very, very good. I'm very excited for it. I am also super stoked for Radiant Sin by Katie Robert to come out. So this is part of the Dark Olympus series, which I am
Oh,
obsessed with. So the
I've
Dark
heard you talk about
Olympus,
those.
yes. The Dark Olympus series covers different like characters in Greek mythology, but she gives them like their own special twist. So the first one, of course, is going to be about Persephone and Hades, but not in the way you think. So in this world, basically the Greek gods are elected officials, so they are interchangeable, which is super, super
Okay.
cool. Some of them are passed down through families, some of them are elected through like by the people, and basically they govern Olympus.
That's
So
fun.
I think this is the fourth book in that series. I don't know who it's about though. I haven't read about it yet. The third one that I'm really excited for is The King of Pride by Anna Huang. The series, I believe, is called the Kings of Sin series. The first one was called King of Wrath. So basically, it's like a continuation of the Twisted series, which is also very, very good if you haven't read those yet. But Anna Huang, she's great because she incorporates like minority characters in all of her books, which I think is very refreshing. So there is a lot of Asian representation. There's a lot of like just people of color in general representation. And she does it very like it's not like she's trying to like force it in there to make it fit.
Yes.
Like, you know, some authors like
Yes.
try
No, I
to,
know. Because it's like you can write a person of color and just have them be a normal character in your book. Like you
yeah.
don't have to make it weird.
Like
But
I
a
feel
lot
like
of
some
people
people
make it
make it
weird.
weird.
It's like, hey girl, like just because they are not white does not mean that they can't be like a main character and that's just chill.
Yeah. And so I thought that was awesome that she does that. All of the characters are very lovable. They crack me up, especially the Twisted series. The Kings of Sin, that one I think is going to take a little bit of like a darker turn than what the others did. So the first one already has, it is a little darker than any of the others. So I'm excited to see where she goes with those.
I totally second A Happy Place. Again, we are hoes for Emily. We love Emily. Another most anticipated book for me is The Fiancé Farce, and this is also by Alexandria Bellfleur. So that Written in the Stars series, is the same author. And I am so excited for that one. It kind of seems like it's another Women Who Love Women book, and it seems like it's gonna be kind of a fake dating trope where they
Cute.
end up falling for each other and like kind of a different worlds type situation as well. So I think it'll be really cute and warm and fuzzy. And then lastly, I'm excited for Gold, which is the fifth and final
Me
plated prison book.
too.
So that's by Raven Kennedy, and I am so stoked to get through all of those. They're so good.
Is it
Like
the last one?
that's the
Do you
last
know?
one.
That's the last one. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, but I also thought the fourth one was going to be the last one, and then it wasn't.
Nope. She says in the like description that's on Goodreads right now, it says the fifth and final. So
How exciting. I am also stoked
exciting.
to read that one. I didn't add that to my list.
Yeah, so far I've gotten through the first three books and
Mm,
I'm excited to read the fourth.
shoot, the fourth one
Um,
leaves you on a cliffhanger.
I know, and this one's gonna take a minute to come out, so
Yeah,
ugh,
yeah.
that part stinks, but I'm still excited.
Sweet. But yeah, that kind of wraps up the last episode of the year. Again, we are so thankful for you guys being here with us as we, do what we love and read the books we love so we can share them with you guys. Starting in 2023, I think we're starting with Crescent City. Is that right?
I believe so. I think we're kicking it off with the first book, House of Earth and Blood. So it's long. If you've not gotten the chance to start it yet, you might want to, if you want to, discuss it with us whenever the episode comes out. But it's lengthy. It's like 700 to 800 pages.
We will be bringing Theory Corner back
Yeah.
to the podcast because there's a lot going on with it, and I'm
Yeah.
very, very excited. We are both very excited to share some of our theories.
We're gonna break the whiteboard back out. It'll be everything and more. Yeah, we have a There is a note on my notes app in my phone that has been there since I read the books in like March or April.
Yes.
Just full of notes and theories. So I can't wait to revisit that while I'm reading it
So
again.
I have read this book 4 times and I have listened to it on the audiobook twice. And
Amazing.
every single time I just add more notes in.
That's
So
amazing. I have only read it the one time so far, so this will be my second, but I'm excited. I want to know like if we think the same things. So we'll definitely figure out if we're on the same wavelength. But we'll see you all in the new year. And everyone have a great holiday season. And as always,
let's get lit.